The first thing Lyra noticed about humans was that they looked fragile, even when they were calm. They had soft skin, slow reactions compared to most spacefaring species, and emotional expressions that changed too easily. To Lyra's people, emotion was something to be controlled, measured, and rarely trusted. Logic was strength. Calm was survival. Anything else was inefficiency. So when Lyra was assigned to a long-term research station and told that her bonded partner would be human, she accepted the decision without complaint, but not without curiosity. His name was Aaron Cole. He worked in systems maintenance, which meant he spent most of his days crawling through access tunnels, fixing things before they failed, and joking with people who barely understood what he was talking about. He was average in size for a human, not physically impressive by alien standards, and far too relaxed for someone surrounded by machines that could kill everyone on the station if handled incorrectly. That, more than anything, bothered Lyra. Humans were supposed to be unpredictable, dangerous, creative. Every data file said so. And yet Aaron laughed too easily, trusted too quickly. He treated her like she was already safe. Lyra did not trust safety that had not been proven. They had been paired for 6 months now, long enough for shared quarters, shared meals, and shared routines. Long enough that Aaron had learned how to adjust the lighting so it didn't hurt her eyes. Long enough that Lyra knew which human drinks made him wrinkle his nose and which ones made him talk too much. But pairing did not mean compatibility. Not to her people. Compatibility had to be tested. The idea formed quietly, the way all good experiments did. Lyra was a xenobiologist, but she had also trained in behavioral analysis. She knew how to simulate controlled stress events. The station already ran drills, power loss, pressure drops, communications blackouts. With the right permissions and the right timing, she could create a scenario that would look like an accident while remaining fully under her control. Nothing lethal, nothing permanent, just enough to see how Aaron would respond when things went wrong. She justified it easily. Humans claimed adaptability as their greatest strength. If that was true, a simple test would confirm it. If not, she needed to know. Emotional bonds without data were dangerous. The test was scheduled for a quiet rotation cycle, when traffic was low and senior staff were occupied elsewhere. Lyra altered a maintenance request so that Aaron would be the one sent to the lower systems ring. She accompanied him, under the excuse of observing infrastructure compatibility between species. Aaron didn't question it. He never did.
"Not many people like coming down here,"
he said as they rode the lift downward. Too many old systems, too many weird noises. Lyra tilted her head slightly. Noise does not indicate danger. Yeah, he said, smiling, but humans are bad at ignoring noise. The doors opened into a dim corridor lined with thick cables and sealed panels. The air was cooler here. The lights flickered softly, just enough to be noticeable. Lyra felt a small sense of satisfaction. Everything was proceeding as planned. She waited until Aaron was focused on a diagnostic panel before initiating the first phase, a localized power fluctuation. Harmless. Designed to trigger warning lights and system alerts without causing real damage. The lights dimmed sharply. A low alarm tone echoed through the corridor. Aaron straightened immediately. "Okay," he muttered, already moving. "That's not supposed to happen." Lyra watched him closely, recording every movement. His heart rate increased, but not dramatically. Breathing steady. No panic response. "Interesting. Remain calm," she said. "Station protocols indicate no immediate danger." "Yeah, I know," he replied, fingers flying over the interface. Still don't like surprises. The second phase followed. A simulated pressure imbalance alert. The corridor doors sealed with a heavy hiss. Aaron paused. "That's not good." Lyra noted the change in his posture. He positioned himself slightly in front of her without looking back. Protective behavior. Unnecessary, but telling. "Explain," she said. "If that alert's real, we're sealed in until control clears it." he said. Which they should. Unless something else is wrong. She waited. Humans often filled silence with emotion when stressed. Aaron exhaled slowly. Okay, no big deal. We've got time. He checked the corridor map, then the manual override panel. Lyra had altered it to respond slowly, as if damaged. Aaron frowned. This panel's lagging. She felt a small thrill. Now the test truly began. She increased the environmental simulation. Temperature drop. Low-level vibration through the floor. Nothing harmful. Just enough to push him further. Aaron didn't raise his voice. He didn't rush. Instead, he sat down on the floor. Lyra blinked. "Why are you sitting?" she asked. "Because rushing makes mistakes," he said calmly. "And machines hate panic." He closed his eyes for a moment, breathing deeply. This was not in her predictive model. She had expected frustration, maybe anger, at least visible stress. But Aaron seemed thoughtful. He opened his eyes and looked up at her. "You okay?" he asked. "Yes," she said automatically. "Good." He stood again and removed a small tool from his belt, one not listed in the official maintenance kit. He opened the panel casing manually, bypassing the interface entirely. Lyra felt a flicker of unease. "That method is inefficient," she said. "It works," he replied. "Efficiency comes later." He rerouted a cable, restoring partial power to the panel. The alarm tone softened. "That should buy us some time," he said. She stared at him. "You planned for this?" she asked. "No," he said. "But I planned for the idea that things break." He glanced around the corridor, then back at her. "You know," he added, "this feels weirdly staged." Her pulse jumped. "In what way?" she asked carefully. "Hard to explain," he said. "Just too neat. Like the problems are showing up one at a time instead of all at once."
He smiled faintly. "Murphy's Law doesn't work like that." Lyra said nothing.
She adjusted the simulation slightly, creating a false data spike on his handheld scanner. Aaron looked at it, then laughed quietly.
"Yeah, no," he said. "That reading's fake." Her eyes widened before she could stop them.
He noticed. "That face," he said gently. "That's the oops face." Silence filled the corridor. "You knew?" she asked. "Not for sure," he said, "but I suspected. Why did you continue?" Her voice was quieter now. He considered the question. "Because you were watching," he said. "And because you didn't look scared. Just focused." Lyra's confidence wavered. The test was no longer clean. The variables were no longer under control. "I intended no harm," she said. "I figured," Aaron replied. "You're bad at lying when it matters." Another vibration ran through the floor, stronger this time. Aaron frowned. "That one wasn't you, was it?" Lyra checked her control interface. It didn't respond. Her breath caught. "No," she said. That was not part of the test. The lights flickered again, harder now. A new alarm began to sound, one she had not programmed. Aaron's expression changed instantly. Calm disappeared, replaced by sharp focus. "Okay," he said, "now this is real." He moved closer to her, placing himself between her and the sealed door without thinking. Lyra stared at him, data forgotten. For the first time, she felt something she could not measure. And the test, which had begun as an experiment, had already gone far beyond her control. The new alarm was deeper than the others, slower and heavier, like the station itself was breathing wrong. Aaron did not need to read the display to know it was serious. His body reacted before his mind finished processing. He stepped closer to Lyra, placing one hand lightly on her arm, guiding her a half-step back from the sealed corridor door. "Stay with me," he said, not loudly, but firmly. Lyra nodded, though her thoughts were racing. The control interface on her wrist remained dark. No response. No override. That should not have been possible. Every simulation system had manual priority access. Every failure state had a return path, except this. One did not. "This system is no longer responding to my commands," she said. "The test framework has been interrupted." Aaron glanced at her sharply. "Interrupted how?" "I do not know," she admitted. That answer bothered him more than the alarm. He moved quickly now, checking the corridor panel again. The power he had rerouted earlier was still holding, but barely. The lights flickered in uneven pulses, casting long shadows across the metal walls. "Okay," he said, more to himself than to her. "First rule, figure out what's actually broken." He pulled out his handheld scanner again. This time, the readings were chaotic, not neat or staged. Heat spikes, power draw fluctuations, a pressure imbalance forming 2 sections away. Lyra watched him work, her mind struggling to catch up. Humans were not supposed to remain calm when control vanished. Her people tightened, focused inward, seeking stability through stillness. Aaron did the opposite. He moved. "Was anyone else supposed to be down here?" he asked. "No," Lyra said. "This ring is minimally staffed during this cycle."
"Good," he replied.
"Fewer people to worry about." The words struck her strangely. He did not say safer. He said, "Fewer people to worry about." Another vibration shook the floor, stronger this time. Dust fell from a ceiling seam. Lyra felt her breathing quicken. "Aaron," she said, "structural stress is increasing. We should wait for rescue." He shook his head. "Not yet. That is illogical," she insisted. "Protocol states." "Protocols assume the system knows what's wrong," he interrupted, still calm but sharper now.
"Right now, it doesn't, and neither do we." He crouched near a junction box, pressing his ear to the metal wall.
Lyra stared.
"What are you doing?" "Listening," he said.
To what?
He tapped the wall lightly.
Machines talk.
Not in words, but patterns. You can hear when something's struggling. She did not understand how sound could replace data, but she could not deny the focus in his expression. After a moment, he stood. "Coolant flow problem," he said, somewhere close. Her eyes widened.
That system is automated. Everything's automated until it breaks, he replied. He opened another panel. This one older, rougher. Steam escaped in a thin hiss. "That's dangerous," Lyra said. "Only if you don't respect it," he answered. He worked fast now, but not rushed. Each movement had purpose. He adjusted valves, rerouted flow, then sealed the panel again. The vibration eased slightly. Lyra stared at him in disbelief. "You reduced the stress," she said. "Temporarily," he replied, like putting pressure on a wound. That metaphor made no sense to her, but she did not argue. The alarm shifted tone again, becoming higher, more urgent. Aaron frowned. "That's new." Lyra checked her wrist again. Still nothing. "This alarm indicates internal communication failure," she said. "Control may not know our status." Aaron swore quietly under his breath. "Okay," he said. "Then we make noise the old-fashioned way." He moved toward a manual emergency transmitter mounted on the wall. It was designed as a last resort, rarely used. The panel refused to open. Of course," he muttered. Another tremor shook the corridor. This one threw Lyra off balance. She would have fallen if Aaron had not caught her. For a brief moment she was pressed against him, his arms steady and warm, his grip firm but careful. He guided her back to her feet without comment. "Are you injured?" he asked. "No," she said, though her pulse was racing. He nodded once and turned back to the panel, striking it sharply with the heel of his hand. The panel popped open.
Lyra blinked.
You damaged it!
Temporarily, he said. Again. He activated the transmitter manually, setting it to broadcast an emergency pulse through the station's maintenance backbone. That should ping someone, he said.
Eventually. Eventually may not be sufficient, Lyra replied.
He glanced at her. You're not wrong. Another warning flashed on his scanner. He stiffened. Pressure seal failure forming ahead, he said. If that door gives, this whole section decompresses. Lyra felt a cold weight settle in her chest. That is fatal for humans, she said quietly. He met her gaze. Not instantly. She did not like how confidently he said that. We need to move, he continued. There's a reinforced junction room, 3 sections down. If we can reach it, we can isolate the damage. The door may not open, she said. He shrugged. Then we make it open. They moved quickly through the corridor, the lights flickering harder now. The air felt thinner, louder. Each step echoed. Lyra struggled to keep pace. Her species was not built for prolonged exertion under stress. Aaron noticed immediately. Shorter steps, he said. Match my pace, not your instinct.
She obeyed, surprised again.
As they reached the next junction, the floor tilted slightly. Metal groaned around them. Lyra stopped. This structure is failing, she said. We should retreat. Aaron looked ahead, then behind them. The corridor they came from shuddered violently.
No retreat, he said. Only forward. He reached the junction room door and tried the control panel.
Nothing. He exhaled sharply.
Okay, he said. Plan B. There was no Plan A, Lyra said.
He smiled briefly. There is always a Plan B. He examined the door frame, then removed a tool from his belt, wedging it into a narrow seam. This door is pressure-locked, he explained. But the hinges are older than the lock. He applied force, slowly, carefully. The metal screamed. Lyra flinched at the sound.
Stop, she said. That will fail catastrophically.
Maybe, he said, or maybe it opens just enough. The door shifted. Another alarm blared. Aaron grunted, pushing harder. The door gave way with a heavy crash, opening just wide enough for them to slip through. He pulled Lyra inside just as the corridor behind them buckled. The door slammed shut under its own weight. Silence followed. For a moment, neither of them moved. The junction room was dim but intact. Emergency lights glowed faintly. The air pressure stabilized. Aaron leaned against the wall, breathing hard now, the effort finally catching up to him. Lyra stared at him.
You risked yourself, she said. Repeatedly, he shrugged weakly.
Kind of comes with the job. That is untrue, she said. Your job description does not include sacrificing yourself. He looked at her then, really looked.
Maybe not, he said, but being human kinda does. She did not know how to respond to that.
Her test had been meant to measure reactions, stress tolerance, problem solving. Instead, she had witnessed something else entirely. Not efficiency. Commitment. The alarms outside continued, muffled now by thick walls. Rescue had not yet arrived. Aaron straightened, despite his exhaustion. Okay, he said. Now we wait, fix what we can, and make sure this room stays intact. He glanced at her. You still with me? Lyra nodded slowly. Yes, she said. And for the first time since she had planned the test, she realized the most dangerous variable had never been the station. It had been her failure to understand what humans did when things truly went wrong. The junction room was quieter than the corridor, but the silence did not feel safe. It felt temporary, like the pause between heartbeats. Aaron checked the emergency lights first. 2 were stable. 1 flickered. Okay, he said quietly. This room's holding, but it won't forever. Lyra stood near the wall, her hands folded tightly in front of her. Her mind kept replaying the moment the corridor collapsed. The sound of tearing metal, the force of the air rushing past them. If Aaron had hesitated even a second, they would not be standing here.
"You are injured," she said suddenly. He looked up.
What? You are bleeding, she clarified, pointing. Aaron glanced down at his forearm.
A thin line of blood ran from a scrape he hadn't noticed.
"Oh,"
he said. That. He wiped it with his sleeve without concern. It is not serious, he added quickly.
"Just a scratch."
Lyra stepped closer, her eyes fixed on the wound.
"Human skin is vulnerable." "Yeah," he said with a small smile.
"Tell me about it." She did not smile back. "You continue despite damage," she said. "Why?" Aaron considered the question while pulling a small medical patch from his kit and sealing the cut. "Because stopping doesn't make the damage go away," he replied.
"It just lets it get worse."
That answer stayed with her. The room shuddered faintly. A deep vibration that seemed to come from the station's core. Aaron stiffened. "That's not good." "What does it mean?" Lyra asked. "Means whatever broke is spreading," he said. "Power, pressure, or both." He moved to a wall panel and opened it, this one responding sluggishly. Inside was a mess of cables and conduits, many older than the station's outer ring. "These systems weren't meant to fail like this," he muttered. "Someone patched over a problem instead of fixing it."
Lyra felt a familiar sting of guilt.
Her test had added strain, even if unintentionally.
"This situation escalated due to my actions," she said.
Aaron didn't look at her. "Maybe?"
Maybe not. You do not assign blame, she said.
"Not until I know everything," he replied. "Blame doesn't fix things."
She struggled with that concept. In her culture, responsibility was immediate and absolute. Delay was avoidance. He continued working, rerouting power from a non-essential subsystem to reinforce the junction room's seals. "We're buying time," he said.
Not solving the whole problem?
"How much time?" she asked. He hesitated.
Hard to say. That uncertainty frightened her more than any alarm.
Minutes passed. Then more. The emergency transmitter crackled faintly, then went silent again.
No response yet, Aaron said, but they'll come. You are confident, she said.
"I have to be," he replied. Another vibration hit, stronger than before. A fine crack appeared along one wall seam. Lyra gasped. Structural integrity is failing.
Aaron swore softly.
New plan.
"There is always a new plan," she observed. He almost laughed.
"You're learning." He studied the room, eyes scanning quickly.
"There's a maintenance crawl space behind that panel.
It runs parallel to the pressure ring."
"That area is restricted," Lyra said, "and unstable."
"Yeah,"
he said.
"but it might give us access to the manual release for this section. That release is outside the room," she said. "Exactly." She stared at him.
"You intend to leave the shelter." "For a minute," he said.
"That is unacceptable," she said sharply. "The environment outside is lethal." "Not immediately," he said again.
She stepped in front of him before she realized what she was doing. "No," she said. "You will not." He stopped, surprised, then gently placed his hands on her shoulders to move her aside. "Lyra," he said softly, "if I don't do this, the room fails. Then we're both in trouble. Then we remain together," she said.
"That's not how humans think," he replied. That is how bonded partners think, she said.
He froze. Slowly, he removed his hands.
You're scared, he said.
Yes,
She admitted.
And so are you.
He didn't deny it.
I won't be long, he said finally.
She reached out and grabbed his sleeve.
If you exit, she said, I will accompany you.
No,
He said immediately.
You cannot prevent me, she replied. You are injured.
your reaction time is reduced. He stared at her, then sighed. You really are bad at self-preservation.
And you are worse, she countered.
For a moment, they just looked at each other. Then he nodded. Fine. Together. They opened the crawlspace panel. Hot air rushed out, carrying the sharp scent of overheated metal. Aaron went first, squeezing into the narrow space. Lyra followed, the metal walls close and oppressive. The crawlspace vibrated constantly, every movement echoing through the structure. Manual release should be 2 junctions ahead, Aaron said.
On the left.
They moved carefully, gripping handholds as the station trembled. Suddenly, a loud crack rang out ahead of them. A section of the crawlspace collapsed inward, blocking part of the path. Lyra cried out as debris struck her shoulder. Aaron turned instantly. Are you okay?
yes, she said, though pain flared through her arm.
He checked her quickly, his movements gentle but fast. We keep going, he said. Almost there, they reached the manual release panel, half buried under twisted metal. Aaron pulled at it. It didn't budge.
Of course, he muttered. Ambassadors?
He braced himself and pulled harder. The panel came free with a screech. The moment he activated it, the station shuddered violently. A sudden blast of heat and force threw them both backward. Aaron hit the wall hard, the air knocked from his lungs. Lyra slammed into him, disoriented. For a terrifying moment, neither could move. Then Lyra heard his breathing, ragged but present.
Aaron!
She said urgently.
I'm here!
He gasped. The pressure around them shifted. The vibrations eased slightly. He had done it. But he was not moving.
Aaron, she repeated. Louder now. I'm...
Oh, he said, though his voice lacked confidence.
She looked at him. Really looked, and felt something inside her fracture.
You should not have survived this,
she whispered. He managed a weak smile. Humans are bad at following expectations. Rescue lights flared suddenly in the distance. Voices echoed through the crawlspace.
They found us,
he said, relief clear in his tone. Lyra felt her knees weaken. As emergency responders pulled them free, Lyra stayed close to Aaron, her hand gripping his sleeve as if letting go would undo reality. Her test was over, but the result was still unfolding. And she was no longer certain she wanted to understand humans. She was certain she wanted to protect this one. The medical bay lights were too bright. That was the first clear thought Lyra had as she stood near the doorway, watching humans move around Aaron's bed. Machines hummed softly. Monitors blinked with calm, steady rhythms. The air smelled clean, sharp, and unfamiliar. Aaron lay still, one arm wrapped in a support brace, a thin bandage across his ribs. His breathing was slow, but even. Alive. That fact mattered more than anything else. A human doctor spoke quietly with a technician nearby, pointing at a floating display. Lyra did not approach. She stayed where she was, hands folded behind her back, posture rigid. To anyone watching, she looked calm. Inside, she was not.
This was reckless, a voice said behind her.
Lyra turned. Commander Hale stood a few steps away, arms crossed, expression tight. He was human, older, his hair streaked with gray. His eyes moved briefly to Aaron, then back to her.
He should not have survived what happened down there.
Hale continued, and he almost didn't. Lyra inclined her head.
That responsibility is mine.
Hale studied her for a long moment.
You ran a test.
It was not a question. Yes, she said. A secret one, he added. Yes, he exhaled slowly. You're lucky this station doesn't handle discipline the way some others do.
Luck is irrelevant,
she replied. The outcome remains. He looked at her sharply. You sound like this is still data to you.
It is, she said.
Then, after a pause,
but it is also more.
That gave him pause. They stood in silence as the doctor finished adjusting the monitors and stepped away.
Aaron will recover, the doctor said. Human bodies are stubborn.
Few broken ribs, mild concussion, some burns. He'll complain about it later.
Hale nodded. Thank you. As the doctor left, Hale turned back to Lyra.
He saved lives today,
Hale said, including yours. Yes, she said quietly.
And you put him in danger, he added.
Yes. Hale rubbed his face with one hand. Why? Whoa. The word landed harder than any accusation. Lyra answered honestly.
I needed to understand him. That's a terrible reason,
Hale said. I know, she replied. He sighed. Humans aren't puzzles you take apart to see how they work. She looked at Aaron again. I am beginning to understand that, she said. Hours passed. The station stabilized. Damage control teams sealed the broken sections. Reports were filed. Statements recorded. Lyra answered every question without evasion. When the room finally grew quiet again, Aaron stirred. His eyes opened slowly. He blinked, then squinted at the lights. Ugh, he muttered.
I told you hospitals are worse than emergencies. Relief hit Lyra so suddenly that she had to grip the edge of the bed to stay steady. You are awake, she said.
Last I checked, he replied weakly. He turned his head and noticed her. Hey, she echoed, unsure how else to respond. He studied her face, frowning slightly.
You look tired. I do not sleep as humans do,
she said.
Yeah,
he said, still. He tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. Okay, he groaned.
Not doing that again.
She stepped forward instinctively, then stopped herself. You should remain still, she said.
Yes, doctor, he replied, smiling faintly.
The smile faded as he looked at her more closely.
You okay?
He asked. The question broke something inside her.
No, she said. He didn't speak right away.
He waited. I endangered you, she continued, intentionally. He nodded slowly. I figured. You knew? She said.
I suspected,
he replied. Humans are good at spotting patterns that feel wrong.
That did not cause anger?
She asked.
It did, he said, still does.
Her chest tightened. Then why did you act as you did? She asked. Why protect me? Why continue? Because, he said simply, I care about you. That word again. Care. It had no precise equivalent in her language. It was not obligation. Not duty. Not logic.
It was worse. I treated you as a variable, she said.
Not a person. Yeah, he said gently. That part hurt. I accept any consequence, she said. Formal censor. Dissolution of our bond. Removal from the station. He reached out slowly, resting his hand over hers before she could pull away.
Don't do that, he said. Do what? She asked.
Reduce everything to punishment, he said. That's not how we move forward.
She looked at their joined hands, uncertain.
How do humans move forward? She asked.
He thought for a moment. We talk. We admit mistakes.
We change. Change is inefficient, she said automatically.
He smiled a little. Sometimes it saves lives. That answer unsettled her more than the alarms had. Later, Hale returned. Aaron, he said, you're officially grounded. Medical leave.
Aaron groaned.
Figures. Hale turned to Lyra.
And you will submit a full report. I already have, she said. I know, he replied.
I read it. He studied her carefully. You concluded that humans cannot be accurately tested under artificial conditions. Yes, she said.
They adapt to the test itself. Hale nodded. That sounds about right. There is more, she added.
He raised an eyebrow. Humans do not prioritize survival alone, she said.
They prioritize meaning.
Aaron smiled faintly. Hale exhaled. That's the dangerous part. Lyra turned back to Aaron after Hale left.
I do not know how to make this right, she said.
You don't have to, he replied. Just don't do it again.
She hesitated.
I cannot promise perfection.
Good, he said. Humans don't trust perfection. She considered that. As the station lights dimmed to night cycle, Lyra remained by his side, watching the steady rise and fall of his chest. Her test had failed, but something else had begun, something her people had never prepared her for. The station took weeks to fully recover, but humans were already calling it stable long before everything was repaired. Lyra noticed that about them. Their definition of safe was flexible. It changed based on need, not certainty. Aaron was released from medical care sooner than expected. He still moved slowly, still complained when he thought no one was listening, but he returned to work with a stubborn determination that worried every doctor who signed his clearance. Lyra watched him from the observation deck the first day he came back, tools clipped to his belt, posture slightly stiff but steady. He waved when he saw her. She waved back, a gesture she had practiced in private until it felt natural. Their bond status had not been dissolved. That decision surprised many on the station, including Lyra herself. Commander Hale had read her final report twice before approving it, his expression unreadable.
Your ass,
King said. You're asking us to change how we understand humans, he had said. No, Lyra replied. I am stating that they cannot be understood the same way we understand ourselves. That honesty had mattered. Now, days later, Lyra stood beside Aaron in a quiet section of the station, watching repair drones seal a reinforced hull plate over the damaged ring. Looks solid, Aaron said. Stronger than before.
Yes, Lyra said.
You overcorrect damage, he smiled. We call that learning the hard way. She hesitated, then said, My people would have abandoned this section. He looked at her. Because it failed once? Yes, she said. Failure indicates weakness. Aaron leaned against the railing, careful of his ribs.
For us, failure just means you know where not to step next time. She absorbed that in silence. Her final report had already been transmitted to her homeworld.
The response had been, Some praised her honesty, others questioned her judgment. A few quietly suggested that extended exposure to humans had compromised her objectivity. They were not wrong. At a formal inquiry days later, a panel of off-world observers asked her the question she had been expecting. Do you believe your actions endangered the station?
Yes,
she said.
Do you believe your test was justified? No, she replied. Then why submit these conclusions at all? She answered without hesitation.
Because humans will continue to be misunderstood until someone accepts the risk of telling the truth. That answer ended the inquiry. Later that cycle, Aaron found her in their shared quarters, staring at a projection of her people's star maps.
You leaving? He asked. I have been recalled, she said.
He went still. Is that permanent? I do not know, she said.
They wish to evaluate my findings in person.
He nodded slowly. Figures. She turned to face him.
I have not decided if I will comply.
That surprised him.
Lyra, he said carefully. That sounds serious. It is, she agreed.
My people value consensus, but I value
context.
He smiled at that.
You've been hanging around humans too long. Yes, she said. That is the concern. Silence settled between them.
Hey, he said gently. If you go, you go.
I'll be here. That is what frightens me, she admitted. You remain regardless. He shrugged. That's what bonds are. She stepped closer. I once believed bonds were statistical agreements, she said. Mutual benefit, measured over time.
And now, he asked, now I believe they are promises made without knowing the outcome, she said.
Which is inefficient. He smiled softly. And terrifying. Yes, she said. And powerful. On her last night before the decision deadline, the station gathered for a quiet recognition ceremony. No speeches, no fanfare, just a simple acknowledgement of survival and effort.
Aaron received a small...
Just doing my job, he said. Lyra listened from the edge of the room, watching how humans reacted. They clapped, they smiled, they joked. But beneath it all was something else. Relief. They had come close to losing one of their own, and that mattered more than protocol. When the room emptied, Lyra approached Aaron. I have made my decision, she said. He looked at her, searching her face. Okay. If they wish to learn about humans, they will have to come here. He exhaled, tension leaving his shoulders. I'm glad. So am I, she said. Weeks later, her report circulated far beyond the station. It was discussed in academies, debated in councils, criticized, praised, and quietly archived in restricted systems. One sentence was quoted more than any other. Humans are not dangerous because they seek conflict.
Humans are dangerous because they refuse to abandon what they care about, even when logic demands retreat. That sentence changed things.
New protocols were written, new partnership guidelines drafted. Tests were replaced with observation, control with cooperation, and quietly, without ceremony, humans gained a reputation that no weapon could have earned. Do not test them, not because they will fail, but because they will adapt, endure, and protect, often at great cost to themselves, and in doing so, they will expose the limits of those who believed themselves superior. On the station, life returned to normal. Aaron fixed things. Lyra studied things. Together they learned things neither could have predicted. One evening, as they watched the stars drift past the viewport, Aaron spoke. You know, he said, you never did tell me what the final result of your test was. She considered.
It was inconclusive,
she said. He laughed. Figures. But, she added, the conclusion was clear. He looked at her. Which is... She met his gaze, steady and certain. Humans cannot be tested, she said. They can only be trusted. Aaron smiled, and for the first time, Lyra understood why her people feared that idea. because trust was not something you controlled. It was something you chose. And humans, she had learned, chose it every day, no matter the cost. The station lights dimmed, the stars burned quietly beyond the hull, and humanity's reputation grew stronger not through conquest, but through the simple, dangerous act of caring. And that was the result no test had been prepared to measure.